Our single biggest challenge is that millions of Americans don't see this problem. They don't know about it. It couldn't possibly happen in their neighborhoods, their communities, in their universities, their school systems.
But whether or not child abuse affects your personal family, it affects all of us because of the terrible health and mental health implications for children who then become our next generation's adults.
The average person doesn't talk about sexual abuse, and it's a very, very behind closed doors sort of topic. And, you know, so hopefully we're gonna kind of shed some light on what it is. This is a horrible, horrible thing, but you can heal from it and come back and live a happy life and be successful and move on from this.
Child abuse is a tragedy for children, for families, and society, and the time to step up the effort to stop it is now.
There were about 500 attendees from, I think, over 26 states from across the nation. People from all walks of life, from community people in Penn State to Penn Staters in terms of faculty and staff, police detectives, nurses, doctors, social workers, people who work directly with abused children.
I was excited that they had made this initiative to make people aware and to try to come up with some strategies for preventing and addressing child abuse.
This is a global issue. We believe that the sexual abuse of children is a public health crisis, a public health epidemic, and that the world has missed that.
It's not a problem that people think about as a public health problem, but it is much more common than many of the other pediatric diseases that we think about a lot, pediatric cancers and other problems. Child abuse is much more common, and it influences children's health throughout their entire life.
So I think a very important role of this conference is to allow people first to be able to hear about the kinds of things that can happen to children of all ages. And so raising awareness about the signs to look for, I think that is really important.
During the panel discussion, they were talking about the prevalence rate and how it's greater than any other health risk in the nation.
The abuse of children, whether it's sexual abuse or physical abuse or the neglect of their really very essential needs, is a public health problem.
That sort of stuck with me on, you know, just how much of an issue it is and how little is being done.
Not all offenders use violence. Not all offenders are strategic about their modus operandi or grooming. But there is a lot we can learn from those offenders who do.
People who do academic research and people who are on the ground in the field doing the work every day had the opportunity to talk together, to hear about things that are important to both of them.
There aren't that many opportunities to have the general public come in, to have interested parties come in. And it seems to me that the directions that we're going to need to take to really move to the next level of prevention, if we really want to eradicate sexual violence, is really getting to the public.
I think sometimes people see research as so distant from real life or something, you know. And so to be able to combine these things together in one conference, I think is quite important.
There's a lot of different things that we can learn more about, know better, or do more about, and communicating that there are many ways in which we can do something about this problem is a good message.
I've been very impressed by how many victims and survivors are their own best therapists. That's my goal in therapy, is to give them the tools to be their own best therapist going forward.
I think for me that touched me the most because I was able to see, not only hear how it affects people, but to see it visually. For me, it helps me to realize how important it is to properly interact with your children and to provide that safe environment.
And so it's really important that everyone becomes more educated and aware of this and empowered to do something. If they think something's not right, ask questions.
follow that gut instinct, things like that.
We're all going to come in with unique stories. And sometimes it's easy to try and lump us into a group. Okay, oh, you're a sexual abuse survivor. Oh, you went through physical neglect. Oh, you went through. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, these are some of the tools that maybe you need. It's important to allow us to be able to share with you our stories from our perspective and our way.
How do I become normal again? And what is normal? I don't know that anybody really actually knows the answer to that. But, we tried to figure it out as best we could. And that was because I got the help that I needed. And that was because, maybe I didn't get it right away at 7 years old, but I got it as soon as possible when I actually disclosed.
When I was asked to speak to you, I thought of a million reasons why I could not, why I should not. But when I look at my kids, I thought of a million and one reason why I should.
So the fact that Sugar Ray could come here today and tell his story, it helps the healing process for so many people that are in that audience.
And yes, I am one of them. I am a survivor of sexual child abuse.
It's one more person breaking that silence and opening the door for somebody that couldn't tell before, giving them the strength to come forward.
I'm really looking forward to hearing Elizabeth Smart. I think that her story will definitely be even more inspirational for me, at least, having not experienced any of this myself and not really knowing much about it.
She's just an amazing person, and I just really admire her strength.
The voices of the survivors were given a very important place here, and I'm very appreciative to the organizers and to Penn State for that.
When I was between the ages of 11 and 12 years old, my stepfather violated me. I hid it, I kept it a secret, but I now have to tell my story so that I can be a force in helping people who have been hurt and people who've been wounded.
It's been very healing, for me personally. So and I think going forward was the best thing I ever did for my own personal healing. And, on top of that, if I feel like I've helped one person, that's extremely, getting all emotional, but that helps me a lot as well.
That's why I'm at this conference tonight. I could be doing other things, but no matter what I had to do, this came first, because I get an opportunity to talk to a group of people who share some of my concern.
This conference that is bringing together the nation's leading experts is exactly the kind of approach that we need in this country.
When children are prepared and they receive emotional support from their parents, victim advocates, or others, it's a difficult experience, but they get through it okay. And
so if an institution like this, with its prestige, commits itself to doing something constructive about this issue, then you can really make progress as an institution. This is very exciting. I haven't seen anything like it elsewhere in the United States.
I've learned from so many of the speakers. I've been very moved by the powerful and meaningful stories, and having survivors here who could share their stories and their journeys. The interest is here, and there's such a motivation to learn and to do things differently. And with those kinds of motivations, I think that the stage is set for there to be a different way now.
Now, in spite of all that we've learned, and I think it is truly breathtaking, there still are a substantial number of misconceptions.
Change occurs one person at a time, and there are going to be people in this community who are going to get information from the conference that they hadn't had before, and going to do things that will help improve the situation.
And I hope I can bring that momentum back to the Penn State campus where I can help motivate other people to get involved and to kind of raise the shroud of silence.
Everybody has a piece and a role in promoting the healing agenda moving forward.
I believe that there's a silver lining in everything, and I think that's one of the silver linings that's coming out of this, is that the fact that they are having this conference and they are going to make a difference, and we're going to stand up and change, and we want to do something positive.
And so what I hope is that those 500 people will go home to their communities in Pennsylvania or wherever they're from and will become a beacon of change. They'll be the people who go home and speak up and speak out and produce real change. That's the legacy of this Penn State Conference. That's how Penn State is going to make a difference in the lives of thousands of children